I was going through a weird time in my personal life and I needed a way of being like loud and powerful, and I think the bass is a really good way of being that. And just sort of music is my therapy, so I just threw everything that I was going through into the record, and I think it's my best work to date, so I'm really proud of it.
Would you say, because you said you were going through a different time in your life personally, and the record has been cited as being quite punky, garage, feminist, do you think that you've got to experience certain stuff to write a certain song? Like if you're feeling, you want to write a lovey-dovey tune, you've got to feel in love, or if you're going to angry, you need to write a ballsy tune?
I don't know, because I definitely think my mood and what I'm going through affects my songwriting, but then like something like Foundations, I sort of wrote about, I don't really feel like I'd ever experienced anything like that when I wrote it. I was really young, and I think it was sort of more mature than I was, and I don't really feel like I'd properly experienced anything like that. I was just writing a song, and that's a song that loads of people really related to. So, you know, I don't think that's true. I just think that your writing will be changed by what you're going through emotionally, but you can probably recreate certain things. I don't know though, because it's just like life is like such a up and down.
It's a journey, isn't it?
It's a journey. And you're never really settled. I'm personally never really settled. I mean, I'm constantly travelling. There's quite a lot of stresses that come with the job, as well as a lot of joys. So my writing's probably quite schizophrenic, because I feel like my lifestyle's a bit schizophrenic. And but then this last couple of years were just really intense with like a lot of really similar emotions, and that just, I had to sort of deal with it. So I would never, I guess like what I'm saying is I would never like try and, you know, some people I think seek out trying to like destroy things in their life so they have inspiration or look for like darkness, and I would never do that because I don't think it's worth it. And I think that there's so many things that, like if you're like, oh, my life's running too smoothly, you'll probably really screw yourself over, because no doubt things are going to get even more difficult. Like, I mean, one of my friends died last year, and she was only 24, and it was a really big example to me in my life of that. Like, you never know when something's going to happen, and so you've really got to savour every moment and enjoy your life and enjoy the company and like look after people that you love, and it taught me a big lesson.
So to say that event in your life was kind of a major turning point in your writing, and was there been any other events that have occurred that have influenced this record?
Yeah, there was definitely like significant moments where I was like, right, and I just focused on my work and my writing, because it was like the thing that got me through it. I think when you're in turmoil, it's really, my advice is to have something to attach yourself to, and hopefully it's not drugs or alcohol, because if it is, then you're going to be in trouble.
It doesn't matter how loud I play my music, I still feel the same.
And I think it's a pop record because I really love pop music and pop melodies, so it's fueled by that. But I think that I guess I can see like it's harder. I'm using my voice in different ways. Like I'm able to like shout and scream in different ways, and I taught myself to do that. That was like an intentional thing. I wanted to learn how to do that, and I wanted to make harder songs just to sort of keep it interesting for me, and that's what I aspired to at the time. And I guess with things like Rap for Rejection.
I'm a stupid whore and a fidget bitch. Or can you make up your mind and tell me which one's which? Now I get it. You think I'm ugly, yeah? Tell your friends how you never wanted none of me. You're trying to tell me
All
sex.
talk, and sort of there are definite like feminist statements on there. So yeah, I can totally understand why people have said that.
Does chart position matter to you now, after having a number 1 and a number 8? Because this album came in at number 85. But it was funded by your fans, wasn't it, as well? So I suppose that you owe it to them, don't you?
Yeah, I think like chart position, I think for anyone who gets a good chart position, it's exciting. So, you know, that's a really cool thing. And you make art because you put it out there because you want loads of people to hear it. Otherwise, I'll just keep it in my bedroom. So it's not like it doesn't matter. I just think it's not something you can rely on, and it's not something that should be why you're making music. And the interesting thing about today, I think, in the music industry is that there's a lot of, I'm torn between two different, like it's great and it's rubbish, because I think there's so much crap out there. And I
couldn't agree more.
Yeah, and it's like a difficult place to navigate as an artist that doesn't quite fit into mainstream pop culture, but is a pop artist, but making an album that's a bit more of a risk and a bit more challenging, I think, and edgier, I guess. So I'm not quite sat in the I don't feel I'm quite sat somewhere yet. Do you know what I mean? But I've got loads of fans, a huge fan base, and I've got social networking sites. So even though I got dropped from my label, I can still communicate with those fans and get the record out there and be supported and tour worldwide. So it is a really cool time in that sense, because if that happened to me 10 years ago, I think my career would sort of be over now, having been dropped, because I wouldn't even know where to go to communicate with people and get things out online. But I feel frustrated as a music fan as well that youth culture, I feel like, is allowing a man in a suit with loads of money, like literally smoking cigars and dictating what young people are into. And I feel personally like music's supposed to be about a bit more rebellion, and you're searching for your own identity as a young person. So why are you letting someone who's nothing like you, who doesn't relate to you in any way, has a totally different lifestyle to you, why are you letting that person decide sort of what should be cool when like young people are much cooler than that? But I think there's a lot of people that feel a bit frustrated with it, and it shifts, doesn't it? Because there's always, like, if you think about the 80s, there was a lot of crap in the 80s, and then the punk movement came out of that, and then, you know, the 90s, the same. Like, that's why bands like Nirvana started and got huge, because people get sick of it, and they do get spoon-fed a lot of rubbish, and then eventually people go, actually, I'm a bit bored of this now. So I'm hoping that, like, there's still, and they say it's like the year of like bringing back the guitar bands and stuff, and I'd like to see more a rise in like female bands and musicians, and hopefully that like we'll see a change.
I can tell all my friends are jealous of me, but they don't know how I feel inside.
If you don't get a deal, it's not the end of the world. If you have a strong fan base online, which a lot of people can now get themselves just by touring, and you can use like Pledge Music or Kickstarter and get on the social networks. That's what I would say. Like, use Twitter and use Tumblr and Instagram, and use it to market yourself, which might sound a bit gross and a bit weird, but if you are putting your music out there and you don't have a label, then you've got to be a businessman or woman as well, and you've got to get people like supporting you, which they will do, and they'll want to tag along to like you, and that's a good thing. So yeah, I think there's a lot of interesting avenues for artists now, and you know there's even like options for like investors, and I guess like brands and advertising now is a lot more common than it used to be, and I still sort of haven't figured out quite where I sit with that. I feel like I wouldn't want to sell one of my songs to an advert, but then I can understand why, like a band. I remember hearing a story about a band who got offered a publishing deal, and then they got offered for an advert way more money than their publishing deal. So for them it was like, well, we need to take this because that's going to ensure our career as a band being able to tour and fund records. And so you've got to be business smart in this industry, because unfortunately there are a lot of bands that do fall to the wayside because it's difficult, it is tough, but build your fan base and believe in yourself as well. I think like don't take no for an answer, and there's always another way. Like if you can't get in the front door, you get in the back window, and that's what I'm doing. And I feel like if you have the attitude that like you're unstoppable and that you're not going to go for your backup plan, then just keep driving your machine, and it will be hard. But if you really believe in it and you think it's really good, then other people